Hi, I'm Randall from Randall's ESL Cyber Listening Lab, providing tips on language learning, culture, and human development. And since 2005, really, YouTube has the go-to video sharing platform for sharing ideas, teaching ideas about just about anything, from fixing your car to teaching you how to get your dog off the sofa to also to baking the most delicious chocolate chip cookies. Also, many people have used YouTube in order to learn and teach languages. And one of the things that we're going to be doing today is I will be joined with my guest, Riyad Kuba, who is going to be talking about his own journey into language teaching. He's going to talk about his interest in technology and his background in creating YouTube channels. And he's going to be talking about also launching his own and creating his own YouTube studio. And I think that you're going to really enjoy this particular broadcast. And this is a picture of what he'll be sharing a little bit later. But one of the things that Riyad and I wanted to do is to keep in mind simplicity. In other words, we will be describing how anyone on a shoestring budget can create videos, can edit videos, can create their own portable studio, and discuss then the wide range of possibilities in this topic as well, because I think this will be very important for all of us today. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring on Riyad Kuba. Welcome to our program today.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Randall, for giving me another opportunity to join and go live with you. Thank you.
Well, let's go ahead and begin, Riyad, just like we always do. If we could go ahead and kind of outline the program, we're going to be talking a little bit about your introduction, how you became a language teacher, again, your growing interest in technology, your interest in building a YouTube channel. And then there will be many people that might say, what is a YouTube channel? And we want to be sensitive to everyone, no matter what their levels are, some of the benefits to creating a YouTube channel. And then our main focus is going to be on the steps to creating a YouTube channel. So let's just go ahead and start from the beginning. If you could just introduce us, and then we'll get into the rest of the program.
Okay, thank you so much. So my name is Riyad Kuba. I'm an English teacher, and I've been teaching English for about 14 years. Recently, I've become a teacher trainer and a certified teacher trainer from Arizona State University. I'm originally from Tunisia, particularly from Sfax, which is about 3 hours away from the capital.
Great. And let's just see if we could just take a minute to see who has joined us. Send us as Riyad Kuba is generous, kind, and very helpful teacher. That's a great praise to you, Riyad. And certainly, I think that's going to play into why you've created YouTube presence. Some other Cassia, greetings from Brazil. Wish you a good Sunday for everyone. Sadine, the best teacher ever.
All right. Thank you.
All right. And so there's so many other comments, some of the people that I do not know, but certainly we welcome all voices. Samaya says, greetings from Tunisia. I can't even pronounce this. You might help me there. Hello from Tunisia. Welcome, Mr. Riyad.
Abida, I think.
Okay. Guadalupe, good morning from Mexico City. Leila, again from Tunisia. Wow, there's a lot of people that are joining here. Uma is from Tunisia. Alan, greetings from Costa Rica. And again, we welcome all of you. So Ria, let's get into your actual story. You've introduced yourself. So the question is why did you become an English teacher? And many people have different stories.
Exactly.
We've heard different stories about people that were born to be teachers. Other teachers like Mona from Tunisia said, I wanted to go into archaeology. Other people had different paths. What about your story?
I have a different story, actually, and I always get asked by my students this particular question and what the reason was behind becoming an English teacher. Well, there is a story behind that, that's for sure. When I was a student, I was an average student. I could neither major in science nor major in arts. But one day, I asked myself this question: what am I going to be doing when I grow up? So it started with this question. So I wanted to make sure that I can have a good job and good future. Since English was new at that time, I said to myself, okay, now you've got no excuse for not being good at this subject and at this language in particular. So I convinced myself, of that, and I told my mother right away that I wanted to become an English teacher. My mother was a primary school teacher, and I still remember that summer like it was yesterday when she gave me some lessons. I can say that my mother was the first to shape my career and to build the cornerstone. So this is one thing. Another thing is that in summer, when we went to hotels, I would seize the opportunity to communicate with the tourists in English, and that ignited my passion for learning English and boosted my self-confidence and my self-pride. So it started this way.
Now, was there any particular teacher in junior high, high school that influenced you at all?
Well, I remember after taking some summer lessons, we always have the first lesson. It's like an introduction, and the teachers would ask us to get a piece of paper and to introduce ourselves. So since we still don't speak English we didn't speak English at that time, I answered all the questions in English. So I started to have a good relationship with my teacher, and who had also a positive impact on me.
And this is important because I think this is carried on into the rest of your life. For example, Kaylor Vargas from Costa Rica says, I've known Riyad for a few months and I've seen he is always willing to help. Some days he collaborated with us here. We've done that before. And I think that's kind of carried over from maybe those early years. Well, here you have Wasila says, Riyad is just a warm-hearted colleague.
Thank you.
That's great to hear. And again, we have some other voices coming in. Alan from Costa Rica, we already mentioned. Jorge from Brazil. So from South America. So that's wonderful. And I think, once again, that influence that you had from your mom is carried over as well in other things. So you shared just a little bit about that. Talk a little bit more about your growing interest in technology. And once you left high school, where did you study as well?
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, the idea of having a YouTube channel was not overnight. It was, it came after a series of goals that I set at the beginning of every school year. So, well, first I can say that I was lucky to have a family, or to be born in a family which gives importance to education. My father was a lawyer and my mother was a teacher. So they provided us with all we needed to succeed in our lives. So she bought us our first computer, and I think that was in 1994, which was something great at that time and something rare. And I've been using the computer ever since. Then, when I became a university student, I would carry my laptop and type as the professor dictated. And I can say that technology started to become a part and parcel of my everyday life. Then when I was about to finish my university studies, I was looking forward to starting my professional career, and I couldn't wait. And I set a goal and literally said that when I become an English teacher, I want to become a successful one, and I want to integrate technology in the classroom so that I can engage all the students in this subject. Yes. So, and then I realized for this to become true, I had to be different. Come up with creative teaching styles and make a difference by using technology. Since I started my professional career, I've made it a habit of setting new and challenging goals. And I have learned, and I want to learn something new at the beginning of every school year. And kept myself progressing since I started. So after becoming familiar with technology, I have decided to give it a shot and start my YouTube channel.
All right, well, great. And that's kind of what I want people to hear, is that you started out, became interested in language teaching, then you kind of started experimenting with different technologies. And I think it is a starting point for all of us at different points in our career. And if we could just spend a minute, we're going to talk a little bit about your inspiration to that. So could you tell us just a little bit about your inspiration into YouTube? And then we'll talk a little bit about what YouTube is, especially for those that might be less familiar with it.
Well, YouTube is like a platform where you can upload your videos. So instead of uploading those videos on Facebook or Instagram, we can just upload them on YouTube. We have like a studio where you can edit, you add, you modify your videos, you add some audios if you want to those videos. And it's a very simple platform to use. It's not that difficult as I thought, and some people might think as well.
And I would be interested. I mean, it seems like every day I go to my teacher YouTube to find out something new. In other words, how to fix something, how to do this, how to do that, how to create some new salsa from garden tomatoes. And I mean, there's so many possibilities, and certainly we would be interested in finding out the uses that people have beyond language teaching, that they find YouTube as a teacher in a way. And so we'll look at that a little bit. So feel free to share your comments. Let's then get to your inspiration of how you personally thought, maybe YouTube for me.
There are two things that influenced me actually and piqued my interest. At first, I thought only native speakers would have successful YouTube channels. So at that time, I thought that it was far-fetched, something that is very difficult for us as non-native speakers to have YouTube channels or successful ones. However, I came across some YouTube channels, or a lot of YouTube channels of non-native speakers, some of them Indians and others from other countries. And I have noticed that they have millions of followers and millions of views. So this one, for example, the one in the screen is Lingua Marina. She is a Russian YouTuber, and as we can see, she has lots of fans and subscribers. And then I said to myself, why not? So if she could make it, so I can make it. So there is no problem with that. So this is the first thing. Another thing is...
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. One of the things that you're making a really good point. Sorry for interrupting, but the idea that you don't have to be a native speaker to make a difference.
Exactly, yes. Because we know that most students resort to native speakers. So if I'm going to make a YouTube video, so I thought that I would not get lots of views or lots of subscribers because they would always or most of the time resort to native speakers. But then here in Tunisia, we don't have like YouTube channels or resources for our students to rely on, for example, before an exam or before to revise their lessons. So this is one thing. And then I came across one of the Prophet's hadiths who said that when a man dies, his deeds come to an end except for three things. Number one, ceaseless charity. Number two, knowledge, which is beneficial, or a virtuous descendant who prays for him. So this hadith kept resonating in my mind. And I asked myself, how can I make people, students, and teachers in general benefit from the knowledge that I have acquired? So the answer came right away, which is creating a YouTube channel. And that sparked me to get down to business. So these are the two things that influenced me to get ahead with this experience.
Great. And what we're going to do, I think the bulk of the presentation we're going to be focusing on is talking a little bit about the steps of doing this. How
Yes.
difficult, how challenging can it be? And a couple of comments before we proceed. Elef says, a supportive and collaborative colleague, Riyadh Kuba, deserves much respect. And certainly that's wonderful. And Uma says, in which way has YouTube channel helped you in teaching? Does it help in the classroom? So let's try to weave those in. I think this is a really good point here. In what way does it help you? And maybe we can just make that comment about teacher and student benefits before we get into the actual steps, because I think a lot of people want to know the steps.
Well, the benefits of having a YouTube channel are countless, and I'm going to talk about the benefits that I've experienced since I started to this experience. Well, the most important benefit is that it has been a great way for me to develop the habit of lifelong learning for professional development. If we teach, because I believe that if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, so we rob them of tomorrow. So the change is changing at a rapid pace, and our students nowadays have become totally digital natives. So we have to change of our teaching methods, and we have to keep them engaged, and we want to make them be passionate this language. And of course, we know that our students, when they become influenced by their teachers and they love them, so they will always resort to them. So this is one thing. The second thing, it has improved the quality of my lessons by coming up with new and creative ideas. Because when you prepare a YouTube lesson, you will try to reach as many students as possible, whether they are low achievers or high achievers. And you will become constantly thinking of different types of students, which is more or less a similar situation to what we do in the classroom. We have different types of students, different levels, so we have to think about that. But when it comes to a YouTube channel, you will have more people, and you want to get all of them engaged in your lessons. So this is number two. Number three, the channel has helped me keep my students always engaged with me, either in the classroom or outside the classroom. And number four, it has helped the students find reliable resources for them to revise before exams. So these are roughly the most important benefits.
Great. And this is going to lead right into the meat of what we're talking about today, because a lot of people might be saying, oh, okay, I see some of the benefits, but how can I do that? What do I need? What are the steps? And we're going to address that right now. First of all, Riyad and I both agree that we're going to be talking about a range of possibilities. You don't have to purchase, thousands and thousands of dollars of an equipment, especially not in the beginning, because you're just kind of dabbling, trying to figure out your way. We're going to be talking about how to create it on a shoestring budget, and then maybe adding things as we go along. So let's go ahead and jump in. And again, those that are watching, feel free to share your questions and comments. We'll be looking at those periodically throughout the broadcast, because we want to hear your questions related to these topics. So let's get into it. Think of an idea for your video. So what are some possibilities, Riyad? When we think about YouTube, what are some possibilities in terms of content for YouTube videos?
I think the best video to start with is like a video trailer in which you try to introduce the channel and the activities you will be posting and the audience you will try to target. So this is no more than 1 minute. So and it should be the first one, so that people can get an idea about what you will be doing on this channel. So this is as the first one. And other activities, it can be a great idea to have some getting to know type videos for people to know who you are, the way you teach, and the things and the knowledge that you will be sharing with them on this platform. So this is as a first step.
Yeah. And I think we could think of other ideas. We could think about instructional videos on technologies, teacher tips, learning tips, language learning skill awareness lessons, virtual tours of maybe areas around where you live, school and program testimonials. Let's say you're trying to attract more students to your program. You could have a testimonial, question and answer sessions, interviews, and Riyad, as you mentioned as well, you want to think about something simple, and something as simple as just teacher or student introductions is a great way to begin. And one of the things is, as I always encourage people to think, is don't create videos just because you can. Decide on your purpose, and your purpose will dictate often what kind of equipment and skills and technologies that you use. And I think that's important to keep in mind. Yeah. So Mona says, hi, everyone. We just have a couple more. And Guadalupe says, I was born in Brownsville, actually in the northern part of Mexico. I grew up talking both Spanish and English and didn't understand why people could not understand each other from both countries. It made me want to help them understand the real meaning of their thoughts. Well, here's a purpose, and maybe using YouTube is to kind of share perspectives, help people learn in different ways. And so those are great. Mona says, I started a YouTube channel during lockdown last spring, and I uploaded some recorded lessons for students. It was really helpful. So another idea of lessons that we could be doing. So let's go on now and talk about some of the steps.
Well, just before talking about the steps, something that we want people to know is that anyone who has a Gmail account automatically has a YouTube channel account. So this is something that I didn't think about before creating this YouTube channel. So this is, if you have a YouTube channel, if you have a Gmail account, so you have an account on YouTube. So this is the first thing. The first step to do is to create, if you don't have a Gmail account, you have to create one if you don't have. And the second one is to sign in, to use your Google account, and then you sign in on YouTube channel with the same Gmail account and with the same password. So this is the first 3 steps that you have to do.
Great. Let's now talk about preparing a script. No matter what type of video you're creating, what are some basic ideas on creating scripts for any type of video?
It can be like similar to a script for a YouTube channel is kind of similar to a script of a lesson plan. So before we start a lesson, we have to prepare our lesson plans, the objectives. So you should have an objective, and you have some enabling objectives, and then what you want the students to learn by the end of this video. There are 2 different types. Either you write the whole script, or you can just elicit the most important ideas that you will be talking about during this video. So these are, roughly speaking, how you prepare your scripts.
And again, I think we would agree the length of a YouTube video can be 30 seconds, could be 1 minute, can be 5 minutes, and so forth. And about how long are some of the videos that you've created? And again, it depends on the purpose, of course.
Of course, generally speaking, the shorter, the better. So you will have more people watching this video, because if it's going to be too long, so your chances are low for people to watch it. So usually no more than 10 minutes, let's say, the best.
Now let's talk a little bit. We're going to talk right now a little bit. It says memorize your script, speak off the cuff, or use a teleprompter. So can you give an example? We're going to talk about several different teleprompters, but can you share an example of a teleprompter that you might use and why that could be useful? And then we'll talk about ranges of possibilities.
This one, for example, is a professional teleprompter. As you can see, we'll have to put here your device. It can be a tablet or a phone, a simple phone. And you will be placing your camera from this side here. And then you have to keep it at least 2 or 3 meters away from you, so that you can script your text in a more natural way. This is a very good device, and I think anyone should think about it, at least in the long term, because it's very, very, very time saving. You don't have to memorize all your scripts. So you will be doing more videos in a very short period of time if you have this. If you cannot afford it, there are hundreds of applications on the phone that you can upload, and they are for free, and you can use them like the one you are posting now exactly. And they are for free, and you don't have to buy an expensive one. So they are very useful, and it can help you, give you more confidence when you are in front of the camera. And I remember at the beginning of this experience, I felt kind of, let's say, anxious in front of the camera. But this device gives you more confidence when you speak.
Absolutely. And what I was just showing a second ago is an example of a teleprompter. It's an app. There are many, many of these apps that you can actually use on your phone, so you don't need a regular teleprompter and a separate device. Certainly separate devices have their own benefits. Absolutely. But if you're starting out and you're saying something, oh, I just want to use my phone here, and you want to use an app, those are really simple to do. You can just, again, you can input the text, and then people can actually watch. You can actually watch the script and record at the same time.
Exactly. And I bought this one not for current use, but for future use, because in the future, in 1 year or 2 years ahead from now, I'm thinking about buying a professional camera. So it was not available here in Tunisia, but since I found it, I have bought it right away to keep it so that I can use it when I need it.
Yeah. And the other thing is, in relation to sometimes people might say, well, I don't have an app. Well, maybe I can use an app, but are there ways of creating my own teleprompter? And what I actually did is I made my own teleprompter. I think I have some pictures here, and I'm going to show this. And so what this looks like, I just took a binder. Let me pull this out so you can actually see. I took this binder right here. It was just an old binder at home. Got a piece of glass from an old frame. And then what you can do is you can set in your iPad here. It'll project up. You have your webcam behind you, and you can actually project up. And if I show that picture right there, it's a really simple way of creating a teleprompter. And you can find instructions on the internet of how to create a similar teleprompter.
Lots of videos on YouTube, actually. Lots of videos.
Lots of videos. So again, teleprompter, as we just mentioned, is a great tool to facilitate your speaking, to make you sound more natural, to make you sound, smooth. Certainly something to consider in that case. All right, let's see if we have let's see here. Oh, Samaya says it's really time consuming. I'm really frustrated. Now, Samaya, please share with us. If you're saying that recording is very time consuming, writing a transcript is very time consuming, certainly we would be interested in finding out what you mean. And hopefully we can answer some questions related to that. Let's now go on to actually recording your video. What are some possibilities with some of these different tools? And we'll try to show some of these as well.
Well, since I started, I've been using a smartphone. So this is something that people should know, that they can use and make good videos, educational videos, with their simple smartphones. Or they can simply use their webcams if they have computers. So either options are great. So, and then you have to have good lighting. And there are two options here, whether you buy good lighting or simply you choose a background where you can film with good lighting behind you. So maybe you can find a green area or green space where you can do that.
When you talk about lighting in your particular studio right now, I'm going to show what I use, but also what you use. What are some possibilities for good lighting, and why would that? You already mentioned it's important.
Would you like me to show you around the studio?
Look around. And again, we're going to look at options. This is one option of creating lighting. And then I'm going to share my setup as well.
Yes.
Hang on a second. As you can see now, this is now the lighting that I'm using. I have these two deep sticks here, and I have this one here to give me good lighting. But if I want to record outside, so that will be enough, I think. And I have this foam here to remove the echo from the room.
Okay, and those are really good. And thank you for sharing that, Riyadh. And one of the things that I want to point out as well, as you're setting back your camera up, a lot of times lighting doesn't have to be, some really expensive setup. Right now, I'm going to just show you my particular light. Actually, it is similar to what Riyadh has. And what we're pointing out, like if I turn off my light, you can actually see the difference in the room. Here's my actual light. And everything that we're showing today is going to be in the show notes, the products, links to them so you can find them. But having just natural light from outside or lighting.
That's enough.
I'm sorry, Riyadh?
That's enough. If you have natural lighting, that's enough.
Yeah. Again, and what I also have here that I can show as well is just a little soft box. It just kind of diffuses the light. So often just natural light is just perfect, but you might think, well, I might need just a little bit more to enhance the video. Certainly that's an option. I'm just going to turn on my video and place that back where it was. I'm sorry, the lighting. So again, different possibilities with lights. Let's take a look at some other things. So we talked about pop screen, and let me share with you, sometimes people might need it for different types of recording. If I could show you an example, this is a pop screen. And basically these type of screens actually catch the aspirated sound, like, things like that. But sometimes you might use a dead cat. It's called a dead cat, or a pop screen, or a windscreen. So those are often used as well. What about a little bit about tripods or stabilizers or anything else that you want to comment in that regard? Because I think lighting.
This is one kind of a video stabilizer, as you can see. So this one is for outside recording. So if you want to make travel vlogs, or if you want to drive, record or shoot while driving a bike or whatever, so this can give you a stabilized video. So this is for outside, as I said. And the next one is, what do you have on the list there?
We had, maybe we can talk, we've talked a little bit about lighting. Again, we're going to be sharing these items, these particular products in the show notes. We talked a little bit about lighting. I talked a little bit about pop screens. I mentioned a tripod. I use a Neewer portable tripod that sits on the desk, things like that. One thing I don't see here is a little bit about microphones, because I think lighting and microphones are probably two of the key things in creating those videos.
Yes, exactly. If you maybe something that can replace the microphone is this little portable device for audio recording. As you can see, it's called Zoom H6. Zoom H6. So this gives you really top-notch quality. So you don't need to buy a microphone if you have this little device, or you can buy a microphone and you plug it to your phone or to your camera to get a good audio.
Great.
This is a very
Thanks for
smart
mentioning
idea.
that. And a couple of things that I use, I've mentioned before. One is called the Purple Panda. It's a lapel mic. You just kind of clip it to your shirt. And the nice thing about this one is it's a really long extension to use. And also the one that I use, another microphone is called the Blue Yeti. It is a USB microphone. So certainly what you'd want to do is test out different products to make sure that you find the one that fits you best. So we've talked a little bit about purpose. We've talked a little bit about deciding ideas. You talked about setting up a YouTube channel and so forth. We talked a little bit about different types of setups, lighting. I use a webcam. Again, we're going to have that in the show notes as well. So after we look at the different equipment that we've used, let's then talk a little bit. This is the actual tripod and light that I use. Both are from the company Neewer. I'll put those in the show notes that you can use, a very sturdy lighting system. And you have a similar light, a small light that you use as well.
Yeah.
That's great to know. Let's then talk a little bit about editing your video. So you've done the video on your, let's say on your phone. Most people have a phone. As I mentioned, let me go back. I mentioned about creating things on a shoestring budget, even if you don't have a tripod. Let me actually go back because I think this is kind of important. Some people say, Rando, you were talking about creating things that were almost cheap and basic. And one of the things that I might do, you can take actually a plastic cup, put in your phone, and there you are. There you are. There's a tripod, all right? Or what you can do is you can use natural
This is a
light.
very smart idea.
Yeah, there are many things. You don't have to go out and buy all of these different types of lights. Initially, you can think about the lighting in your home. Maybe you have a lamp. Maybe you have some basic things that you can do as well. Right now, my computer is sitting on a cardboard box. So that's kind of my tripod. So you can think of a lot of different tools that you can use. And certainly, if any of you are out there, feel free to ask some of these questions. One of the questions that just came in is, Uma, who are the people who are interested in your YouTube channel? And if we could hold that question, Uma, we're going to come back to that because I think that's important at the end of the program. Who are the people that are interested in your channel? We'll come back to that in a few minutes. Don't let me forget. All right, so let's move on. After let's talk about editing your video. What are some options? We've done the recording on our phone. We've maybe used a teleprompter app that is free. We've created the video. What are some options for editing the video?
Well,
Do we need to?
There are lots of applications and software for video editing. We can classify them into two. Some of them are for beginners and others for professionals and for companies working in this field. But for those who want to start with this experience, they can start with Filmora video editor, which is very simple to use. All you have to do is you drag your video and then you cut the different segments or parts that you don't need, and that's it, and then you export it. Of course, little by little you can add some effects to the video, some subtitles or whatever you want. So that's very simple to use, and you can even download it from the internet and try this software. And of course, there is the InShot video editor for iPhones, I think, and smartphones in general.
Yeah, and this is great because certainly there are higher end products that could be used for video editing, but Filmora, I think, is designed for kind of intermediate use and beginning use. And Sidine Bennour, who was one of my guests recently, I was reaching out to her, and this is one of the great things about online collaboration. As I was testing out some different apps, I reached out to her and I asked her, and she said, Orlando, I use InShot. And InShot is both for iOS and Android. And if you're looking for a really simple video editor for both Android phones and iOS, this is really, when I started experimenting with it, adding transitions, adding, text and so forth, it's a really great app as well. So certainly it doesn't do all of the bells and whistles or all of the things that people want to do, like with something like Filmora, but it's a really portable solution that people can use, and I would check that out. Again, all of these things that we're referencing will be in the show notes afterwards for people to share. And certainly, if you're using a particular application for video editing, please share your ID as well. Mona says, I like the devices you use, Randall, homemade and cheap. So certainly what we're talking about is that we're looking at the range of possibilities of things that might be really basic, like my cup, or again, this is my pop screen. This is my pop screen. And so rather than buying something like this that might cost $20 of cat catching, like if I do, you hear that sound, I actually used one of my wife's old pantyhose and just strung it around an old embroidery hoop. So certainly there are cheap solutions, but I think Riyadh and I would say there are some solutions with technology that it's worth an investment if you decide to go that route.
I think we should just start where we are, but start small, but think big.
Absolutely. And I think once you begin to experiment with different things, you realize some of the limitations of certain items, but start small, think big. And over time, you might say, well, I need this or I need that. But it's certainly that.
This is exactly what happens. Yes. Every time you feel like you want to improve something in your videos.
Right. And again, so far we've talked about different ideas on creating YouTube channels. We talked about using different tripods. We said a smartphone is a great way to begin with certain tools that you have. We talked a little bit about video editing. And again, everyone feel free to share any questions that you have or any techniques and so forth, because I think that'll be part of the conversation. And I think, Riyadh, both of us agree that there's a lot of trial and error. And in a few minutes, we're going to go back to Uma's question about the type of videos that you've created, because I think that will give people other possibilities as well. So once we've done that, we've written a transcript, we've maybe used a teleprompter. Again, there are free ones. And again, I don't know if you ever did this, Riyadh, probably did. There were times where I'd write out my words and hang them right above my camera. And then I realized that doesn't work so well. But we talked about different tools. We've talked about video editing. We mentioned Filmora and InShot. And what I'd like to do is, once you've created all that, what is the next step?
After making your video, you have to, after exporting the video using one of the applications, you have to drag that video, that space, or you just upload the video using the right picture. The one on the left, or you simply drag the video in that space, and it keeps uploading until it finishes. So this is step number 9. Select your file and you keep it there. Then you have to choose a very good catchy title so that it can attract the students and motivate them to watch it. And then the next step is you have to choose whether it is for kids or not. So you have to choose your targets right from the beginning, and then next step.
Yeah, and I think YouTube is just being sensitive to the type of content that people are putting out there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yes. And then you have to select the type of whether you want the video or whether you want to keep the video as private or unlisted or public. So you can choose either one of these options.
And I think that could be really useful. Let's say that you're creating a video with students and you only want your students to view that. Then you can make that private. You can determine who will see that. Unlisted.
If you want the students to watch, you have to select unlisted, select it as an unlisted video, and you send them the link. But if you keep it private, only you will be able to watch the video.
And then publish. I mean, then you can say public, just anyone. And I think unlisted is a really good option if you want people to preview the video, give you input before you go fully live. All right. And then after that, you said give the video a good title.
Yes, exactly. And then you can choose after choosing a title, you can choose a thumbnail.
And what is a thumbnail for some people who might not be aware of a thumbnail?
It's actually one of the most important elements of any YouTube video. Once you have a good headline and a catchy thumbnail, so you will definitely, or your video will definitely be viewed by students or by people in general. So a thumbnail, it's like a description of the video. You can choose what you want, a text, for example, and a good picture that can reflect or refers to the content of the video itself.
And there probably will be people who want to create advanced thumbnails. We'll leave that for a different presentation, but certainly there are possibilities there. So
again, there are lots of applications on the phone that we can use, simple ones. You just add the picture, or you can add your text, and that's it. And then you can export it into an image.
Right. And again, the thumbnail is what people actually see, on your YouTube channel. And then
you share where you want to or select where you want to share your video, whether on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or any other social network.
Okay, that's great. And let's look at a couple of comments, and then we'll go back to Uma because she wanted to know a little bit more about your own videos. Let's see here. Oh, Samaya says if there's a will, there's a way. So absolutely, I guess, again, thinking small, thinking what you want to do. Wasila says, when you dream big, kind of echoing what you're saying, Riyad, about thinking big, but starting small. Mohammed says, very useful presentation for online class. Thanks for arranging such a program. Can you suggest some easy softwares for video editing? And we did that. Maybe they're commenting as well. Filmora is one. Also, we mentioned InShot, and we'll be putting those in the show notes right afterwards. If anyone has used any other video programs, feel free to share. And I think what we're doing, once again, is sharing ideas that are very simple to get people started. Elif says, nice ideas. If we are willing to do something, nothing will stop us. Be creative. That's what you've talked about, Riyad. Wasila says, I understand if you started to use a laptop so early, you can keep wanting the latest technology all the time. And one of the things that I mentioned, and you asked me a little bit about my phone. One thing is I use an iPhone. Well, it's one of the early versions, and it's so small. And when my students see it, they kind of laugh at me, and they have to.
Is iPhone 3?
A really, really small screen. And one of the things is, to be honest, I have several passions. One is technology, but one is trail running in the mountains. So I need something small, right? Because the phones are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But anyway, we're just saying that we want to just be aware of those. So if we could go back and answer Uma's questions, a little bit about your YouTube channels and what you've done, and then we'll wrap up the episode by maybe taking a look at some of the obstacles, challenges, and successes that you and others might face.
Yes.
So when I first started my experience with YouTube channel, I just started with videos that I felt comfortable with. So any topic that I want to talk about, so I make a video about it and then upload it. But then I came to realize that this would not help the channel to grow if I don't have a plan. And if I made videos randomly. But since the outbreak of the coronavirus, I have started working on an action plan. And by doing so, the followers have felt that there is a plan and that there is a clear strategy and that the videos are interrelated. And this has helped the channel to grow. And they had like more than 1,700 subscribers in less than 5 months. And the channel jumped from 300 subscribers to before the coronavirus to 2,000, more than 2,000 subscribers after it. And I have recommended, and what I recommend is having an action plan. And this is what I'm doing now. I'm working, I have like a set of ideas. I'm organizing them and I keep making videos so that students feel that as if I was teaching them in the classroom. And to do that, you can either make your top 10 video ideas that are interrelated or just follow a textbook you are teaching. And then here it is. It's as simple as that.
Now, Riyad, I know that you're experimenting with some new YouTube ideas. Is that something that you can reveal now, or will people have to wait?
I will start actually posting starting from next week, since I teach baccalaureate students. So this year I'm working on the program of the baccalaureate level, and I will start going through the units and the modules that they teach. Every time I tackle a particular point or a theme, and then make a video about it, and that's it. Yes, so that's what I am. I will start with talking about holidaying and art shows. This is the first unit that they study, and this is something that I did. This is just to tell you that it's about holidaying and art shows. So I'm going to put this module into its proper context. What I'm going to do is, since I traveled to Turkey and to the United States, so I'm trying to put this module, for example, the museums that I visited, the places, the attractions that can go with the unit and its objectives.
Now, Riyad, let me ask you, over the years, I've included my family in my own broadcasts, in my own recordings. It seems to appeal to, people from around the world, especially people who are working with children. I think there's a great interest there. Do you have any plans on creating YouTube videos with different voices, children, different ages and accents?
I have already started actually with my daughter. This week, I had a video with her, and I have also created a YouTube channel for her, and it is 100% educational. And the reason for that is that my problem is that I don't have a lot of time with my kids and with my family in general. So I said, why not trying to create a YouTube channel and revise what she is studying in schools through making these videos on YouTube. And it was really successful. Now I feel that my daughter is so passionate about her studies and learning and making these videos. And today, hopefully, we will make a new one, inshallah.
That's impressive, because I know when people have seen and heard my own children's voices in my recordings, it's like, wow, that's something that you don't typically get in different types of language learning materials. It was, to be honest, when you shared a video with me yesterday, I was deeply impressed. I think I watched it 4 times because I was thinking, wow. I think that's meeting a great need that I think a lot of people would be interested in hearing. So,
and she is even better than me, because she got 2,000 views in 24 hours.
Are we going to catch her on this broadcast or the next one?
Yes, she's here. Would you like me to call her?
Okay, well, let's wrap it up by just talking a little bit about the challenge and successes, and then we'll have her come on at the last moment. I think people would be deeply impressed with her thoughts. Yeah. So let's wrap up. Number 1, talking about challenges, obstacles, successes. This might summarize some of the things that we talked about, and then we'll bring on the next YouTuber in your family and hear from her.
Well, I faced, let's say, two obstacles and challenges to reach that goal. First is the lack of knowledge. Because at first I thought it would be very difficult to reach that simply because I did not know with what to start, from where to start, and how to start. So I had to start from scratch. But then I didn't give up. I was determined to learn how to do that at all costs because I was looking for perfection. I spent more than sometimes 3 hours trying to figure out how to film myself, how to stand in front of the camera, and how to edit these videos. I watched hundreds of hours about creating and editing videos, as well as recording and mixing sound. So this is one of the things that I faced. And the second one is time management. It was not easy at all at first because it still takes a lot of time for me. It has occupied a big chunk of my time, and it has come at the expense of my family. But let me say something. We don't have to discourage people to have their channels. If they want, they can simply opt for simple steps and simple videos. We just want them to keep that interaction and engagement with their students. So they can simply use simple equipment. They don't have to complicate things. And maybe in the future, they can have like something more advanced and stuff like that.
You know, one of the things, Riyadh, what's going to happen, I started using my kids and having them in some of my recordings over 20 years ago. And those voices are still online today. And I know it's been a great boon and a great benefit to me, not only to those that are listening to the broadcasts and the recordings online, but to my family, because, you know, everything we do is connected. I mean, if you achieve success, that success comes in the family and things that you do and sharing and doing with them. So I really am proud and congratulate you on doing that. So can we bring her on just as we, let's read a couple of, I'm going to read a couple of comments here, and then we'll bring her on here.
Yes.
Khan says, I started a channel for my students of how-tos as soon as the pandemic was the pandemic was very helpful. Wasila says, I encourage Riyadh to keep it going. It's great. My kids like his channel too. I think they're going to like your channel even more with a new star. Just hang on here. We'll bring her on here in a minute. Shamim says, hello, let me make sure I'm getting that. Hello, you are encouraging teachers to create YouTube channels, especially these days. Very useful information. Wasila says, I encourage Riyadh to keep going. I already mentioned that as well. And Wasila says, hi, Randall. I'm really a great fan of your website. Thanks for inviting us today. So if you could go ahead and just introduce your daughter as we wrap up, and we'll
introduce yourself. My name is Khadija.
My name is Khadija.
Hi, I'm in a YouTube channel. YouTube channel. What اسمها القناة بتاعك? What is
تعلم
learn with Khadija. قول لهم subscribe اعمل لهم هيك لا
subscribe والكومنت والشير والإشعارات.
باي باي.
وباي باي.
What's your name?
Khadija Kowa.
Khadija. Khadija, yes.
Could she give a message, although I won't understand, could she give a message to everyone in French or in Arabic about learning English or a different language?
عملوا لهم الغنية. The song.
Le petit Benoît compte jusqu'à 3. La petite Alice compte jusqu'à 6. Mon frère Vincent compte jusqu'à 100. Mon cousin Émile compte jusqu'à 1000.
It's about learning French names and numbers. This is what the song is about.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Well, very impressive indeed. I want to thank you. Let's see what we have here is, hi, sweetie. Good luck. Again, we have some other comments coming in. What is it? How do you pronounce her name?
Khadija.
Khadija. You know, I have a problem with the H.
Simply Khadija.
Khadija. All right.
Khadija,
We
yes.
have Elif says, hi, Kajila. Juan says hello. Samaya says hello. Wow. So it looks like right now you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be joining your channel in the future. And
Hopefully.
so what I want to do is to finish today's broadcast. Again, Riyadh, I want to thank you for joining, for
Thank you so
participating
much.
in the broadcast, for sharing your ideas and your inspiration. Again, as we mentioned, Riyadh, we're going to be listing all of the resources that we mentioned
Yes.
in the YouTube channel and in the Facebook broadcast, so that people have those resources as well. I think that will be a great boon.
Just one thing. If any of our viewers today want any more information, they can contact you or me if they want. And of course, I can provide them with everything they need.
And thank you so much. We see some other comments coming in. It'll be, again, Wasile says, thank you very much. Khan says, going to subscribe right now. Wow.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. So again, I want to thank you, Riyadh, for joining. I know Riyadh is very passionate and very kind and gracious with his time. Feel free to reach out to him as well. So thank you very much, Riyadh, for joining today.
Thank you. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
And Senda says, keep going, Riyadh. Thank you for this presentation. It helps a lot. Honda says, thank you very much for sharing, for your efforts to help us. And that is just so wonderful. So many comments. We can't read them all. But again, thank you very much for joining us today. Well, let me go ahead and wrap up. Thank you very much for joining the broadcast on creating a YouTube channel. We tried to emphasize that you don't need a lot of money. You can create things really simply. As I mentioned, my tripod fell on the ground. You could create things really simply with the barest tools, with the simplest techniques. And that's what we want to try to focus on. The last thing I want to emphasize is next Sunday, my daughter Emily will be joining us on a special broadcast. I haven't had one of my children on the broadcast. I'm proud of all of them. And we're going to be talking about celebrations and special days, how we've celebrated that in our own family. And I think you'll find that interesting. And we'll be talking about the broader application of how people celebrate different holidays as well. Well, as always, I want to thank you very much for joining this broadcast. It is your voice that really moves the world. Thank you very much for joining us today. Have a great day and an even better tomorrow.